All right, so we want to change the subject of this formula to m. Now, this one's a little tricky because we've got two m terms here. So we've got a long step-by-step process to really bring these m's together so that we've only got one m term. And then we can have m on the left-hand side all by itself and m will be the subject. But we can't do that until we bring the m's together first. So the first step, it might not seem straightforward and obvious, but the first step when you have a fraction like this is always just to get rid of the fraction, okay? So even though you can't see that that's going to bring the m's together, it actually looks like you're bringing the m's further apart. We just want to get rid of any fractions first. It just makes it a lot more simple. So we multiply by the denominator on both sides. And then after that, we will be able to bring the m's together. So they will cancel out and we got rid of the fraction, and on the left-hand side, we're left with p times m plus 1. And on the right-hand side, we're left with m minus 1. Okay, now we still want to get these m's together. We can't do it at the moment because one's on the left-hand side, one's on the right-hand side. This one's tied up in these brackets. So let's get rid of the brackets first. Let's expand these brackets so that we can get that m term out so we can use it. All right, so p times m, pm, p times 1 is just p. All right, so we've still got the m on the left-hand side and the m on the right-hand side. So we want to bring them together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get all the m terms on the left-hand side and all the p terms and the constants and everything else on the right-hand side. So we just need to make sure all the m's are on one side together. So let's bring this m over, subtract m from both sides. That's going to get rid of that. So on the left, we've got pm minus m plus p. Doesn't matter which way you write these. You can write plus p minus m. These will cancel out and we're left with minus 1 on the right-hand side. Now we're nearly there. I'm just going to get rid of this p here and just put it on the other side. So let's just subtract p from both sides. Just because I'm not really interested in p, I'm only interested in bringing these m terms together. So let's just get rid of it. It's just confusing us at this point. So now we're just left with pm minus m on the left-hand side. And on the right-hand side, we've got minus 1 minus p. All right, and we're just going to leave it like that. You could write this another way, but we're going to leave it like this for now because you're not going to get it wrong. It's correct still. It's just a little messy with all those minuses. All right, now we've got our two m terms together. We can't actually subtract m from pm because they're not like terms. So what we can do to get those m's together is we can factorize. So factorizing is a neat little trick that's going to give you one m term. So m is clearly a factor of both of these terms, okay? Because here we've got p times m and here we've got minus 1 times m. So we can factorize this m out. Let's take this m out and factorize. So m times what gives you pm? M times p gives you pm. And m times what gives you minus m? Well, it's minus 1. M times minus 1 gives you minus m. Okay, so we've factorized, and now finally we've only got one m term. So we're almost finished now. That's what we were trying to do this whole time, is just bring those m terms together. So first we had to get rid of the fraction up here, get rid of the fraction. Then we had to expand. Then we had to get all the m terms on one side so that they were close together, and we put everything else on the other side. And finally, we just had to factorize all the m terms. So now we factorized the m terms. We've got m by itself. How are we going to get rid of this term next to m? Well, at the moment, it's just m multiplied by this term here. So what's the inverse of multiplication? Division. So if we want to get rid of this term here, all we need to do is divide by this term. And we need to do the same thing to both sides. So these cancel out. And finally, we're left with m. Yay, we made m the subject. And that's perfectly correct. That answer is fine and will be accepted. Usually we don't like all these negatives, so we can rewrite it as minus 1 plus p, because you can see that minus 1 times 1 is going to be minus 1, and minus times p, minus 1 times p is going to be a minus p. So this here on the numerator is the same as this numerator. Usually people write it like that. But either way is fine.